Last night, somewhere in the first few minutes of falling asleep, your body did something violent. A sudden kick, a jolt, the feeling of stepping off a curb that wasn't there. Maybe it woke you. Maybe you never even noticed. We have all felt it, and almost no one knows what it actually is. Your brain wasn't malfunctioning. For a fraction of a second, it was convinced you were about to die, and it tried to save your life. It has a name. Doctors call it a hypnic jerk or a sleep start, and it is one of the most common things the human body does. A 2016 review put the number of people who feel them between 60 and 70%. About 1 in 10 get them every single night. Most of us shrug them off. Too much coffee, a long day, a random twitch that means nothing. But here is the strange part. After all the decades we have spent studying sleep, no one can tell you for certain why it happens. There are theories, good ones, and the best of them is not comforting. To understand the jerk, you first have to understand the moment it lives in. Falling asleep feels like one smooth slide into the dark. It isn't. It is a handoff, a negotiation between two systems that do not fully trust each other. One part of your brain is trying to shut you down for the night. It dims your senses. It loosens your muscles one by one until your body goes slack and almost paralyzed, so that you can't act out whatever you are about to dream. Another part of your brain is still on watch, still scanning, still asking the oldest question your nervous system knows how to ask. Are we safe? For most of the night, that handoff is seamless. But right at the edge, in the handful of seconds where you are neither fully awake nor fully asleep, those two systems can read the very same moment in completely different ways. Here is what one researcher thinks might be happening. In 2006, a psychologist at the University of Colorado named Frederick Coolidge put forward an answer that reaches back millions of years. As you drift off, your muscles go limp. Your body begins to fall still. And to a very old part of your brain, that sudden loss of tension does not register as rest. It registers as falling. So think about where your ancestors slept. Not in beds, not on floors. For millions of years, primates slept in trees, wedged into branches, holding on through the dark. For an animal asleep in a tree, the single most dangerous thing in the world is the feeling of letting go. So a reflex evolved to answer it. The instant the body senses it might be slipping, the reflex fires. It tenses, it grabs, it throws out an arm or a leg to catch a branch that, for you, has not existed in 100,000 generations. That is the jerk, not a glitch, a rescue. Your sleeping brain mistaking your soft, safe mattress for a 40-foot drop and hauling you back from a fall that was never coming. But that is only part of the story. And here it is worth being honest. The tree theory has almost no hard evidence behind it. It is a good story that fits the feeling, which is not the same thing as being true. Not every hypnic jerk even comes with a sense of falling. So neuroscientists look at the wiring itself. They point to the reticular brainstem, the same primitive region that runs your startle reflex, the flinch you make at a sudden loud bang. At the moment you fall asleep, the system that keeps you awake and alert is supposed to hand control over to the system that puts you under. And that handoff is not always clean. Sometimes, as the lights are going down, the alert system gives one last flicker, a final burst of activity in the motor cortex, the part of your brain that moves your body. The signal has nowhere useful to go, so it simply discharges. Your leg kicks, your arm flails. You gasp awake. In the most literal sense, it is your brain's machinery misfiring on its way to the off switch. There is a useful way to picture it. Imagine a tall building late at night, a single caretaker moving floor by floor, switching off the lights. The hypnic jerk is one light that flares back to full brightness for half a second before it finally goes dark. A last spark in a system powering down, harmless on its own. But to the body wired to that spark, that flare doesn't feel like a light at all. It feels like the floor dropping away beneath you. And modern life pours fuel on the fire. The things that make hypnic jerks more frequent read almost like a checklist of how we live now. Caffeine, still circling your bloodstream near midnight. Stress, keeping the alert system switched on long after you have lain down in the dark. Sleep deprivation, forcing your exhausted brain to slam from awake to asleep, far too fast for a gentle handoff. Late workouts. Anxiety, a mind that simply will not stop running. Your ancestors fell asleep when the body decided it was time. You fall asleep when the schedule says you have to, often with a brain still sprinting at full speed. So sometimes the jerk is nothing ancient at all. Sometimes it is just the sound of two gears grinding because you forced them together. Some people get far more than a kick. Right at the threshold, the half-dreaming brain begins to invent things. A flash of light behind the eyes. A loud bang that no one else in the room heard. The vivid, total certainty that you have just stepped off the edge of something into open air. These are called hypnagogic sensations. The first faint static of a dream, leaking into a body that has not quite finished falling asleep. For one strange second, you are dreaming and awake at the same time. And out of every dream your brain could possibly reach for in that moment, the one it returns to again and again is the dream of falling. Here's the part that is easy to miss. We talk about the hypnic jerk like it is a malfunction, a small bug in the human body to be explained away. But strip the theories back and look at what is actually happening, and it stops looking like an error at all. Every single night you do something quietly extraordinary. You let go of your own consciousness. You hand your entire mind over to the dark and simply trust that it will be returned to you in the morning. The jerk is the visible seam of that crossing. It is the one moment you can actually feel the machinery of yourself changing hands. It is not your body breaking down, it is your body checking one final time that you are going to be all right before it lets you disappear for the night. And it is almost always completely harmless. A normal punctuation mark at the end of a waking day, nothing to fear and nothing to fix. So tonight, when it happens, and for most of you it will, try to notice it instead of cursing it. That sudden kick at the very edge of sleep is one of the oldest and most loyal reflexes you carry. Older than your worries, older than your language, older than your name. A part of you that learned in the dark of some forest you will never remember to never once let you fall without a fight. You are not falling. You never were. But somewhere far underneath all of your modern certainty, a small and ancient part of you still does not quite believe that. And so every night, right before you go, it reaches out one last time to catch you.